Good. Scare- Good afternoon, everyone. I show it is now 4:02 on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. I'd like to bring the Board of Public Works and Utilities agenda to order. Alder Jurassic,
Here.
Alder Banash,
Here.
and Alder Wolf is here. Mayor Kim is on her way. And Jared Holter
Here.
and Sabrina Steger. Here. Thank you. Also in attendance is Kevin Schubert, our city engineer, and also Karen, Marquardt, thank you. And also Karen Marquardt from Finance is in the audience. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. Number 2, consideration and action on minutes from the previous meeting.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from the previous motion, from the previous meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion by Alder Jurassic, second by Alder Banash. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 3, public input limited to 3 minutes per individual. You may give your first and last name and your home address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Jared, is there anyone online?
No one online.
Okay. So first call for public input. Second call for public input. Third call for public input. I will note for transcription purposes that Mayor Kim has arrived as promised at 4:03. And I'll go consideration and possible action on the following. I'm sorry. And I did have third and final call, and I will close that portion of the public hearing of the meeting. Consideration and possible action on the following items. Alder Knott is no longer in this committee that he was chair of, and the mayor asked me to, if she didn't get here, to start it. So I'll let you take it from here. Number 4. Oh, okay.
Please continue.
Okay. Item number 4, election of officers for chair.
Nominate Diane Wolf for chair.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder Banash, second by Mayor Kim, to elect Alder Diane Wolf as chair of Board of Public Works. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Third and no other nominations. I will accept that. Those in favor of electing Diane Wolf as chair of Board of Public Works say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 4B, vice chair.
Nominate Larry Jurassic.
I'll second.
Motion by Jim Banash, second by Mayor Kim, to elect Larry Jurassic as vice chair. Will you accept?
Yes.
Okay. Any other nominations? Any other? Hearing none. All those in favor of electing Larry Jurassic as vice chair of Board of Public Works and Utilities say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 5, 2025 State Trunk Highway 16 Water Main Crossing bid. Jared.
I just wanted to say to Rick Niemeyer, city administrator, is on the Zoom call. So
Thank you. Yes. So welcome to our city administrator for joining us online tonight. So Jared, number 5.
number 5, State Trunk Highway 16 Water Main Crossing. We did open that bid today. That bid, as you can see, we did hand it out. There was 2 bidders today. We did have a third bidder that inquired, but chose not to bid. This project was originally in the 2024 capital improvements budget and was restated in the 2025 capital improvement budget. We originally had $250,000 project budget, add $100,000 to it to get to a $350,000. As you can see from the 2 bids today, we do have an apparent low bid of $547,096. When we did the estimating for this project, we did not have the soil borings done. Once the soil borings were completed and Kevin Schubert, city engineer, worked on the design, we found that there was quite a bit of rock excavation right at the base of Highway 16 where the existing easement comes out of the subdivision. We really have to come down that area. If we go around it, we're going to have increased costs by going around it. But due to that rocks that we found, we're going to have approximately $100,000 of the costs for that rock excavation. We're not able to bore in certain locations. So now we're going to be closer to Highway 16. We have traffic control that was added. That was probably about $20,000 in the bid. We have more restoration, which was 20,000. We have our cost on some of the fittings was about $20,000 higher, and then it just was higher than what we had estimated for the per foot cost of the boring. So we're at that 547,096. We did have an estimated cost prior to the bid of about 475. So it did come in a little bit higher than what we even estimated, but we did look at this today as staff. Talked about it with Sabrina Steger, our finance director, and Rick, our city administrator. Really from staff standpoint, from the engineering department, we feel this is the best course of action. If we rebid it, we will not gain a lower cost. If we go and move it to a different location, we're adding footage, which will raise the cost again if we rebid it with a new concept. With that, we did look at the 350,000 we had budgeted. We do have approximately 275,000 in the water utility capital projects fund balance. So we're proposing to use 200,000 of that fund balance that has been saved on other projects, water utility projects over the years, to get us to the point we'd have enough to bid this or award this project. This project is the water main that's going to run from Grandview Estates through an easement across 16 and down over to East Plaza Park and then into the Berlin Drive extension. So this is the only way to get the water main from the booster station over to that site. So we really have to have this water main installed. It has to be done. There's really no other place to put it. So it's an unfortunate myriad of items that have come together. I think we've ended up with a good design, but it's just costing more. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
So Jared, if I heard you right, so we went ahead and we budgeted or we borrowed through capital improvements for the 350
Correct.
and make up to get to the 547, roll up to 550. You're looking at taking $200,000 out of the water utility fund and still leaving a $50,000 balance.
Correct. That is actually fund balance for capital projects from in the water area. So it can only be used for water projects,
Okay.
but it is a capital fund project balance. So it's been money saved on other capital projects over the years that we've had under the water item.
How much does it bring that budget down to?
About 75,000.
Mayor Kim?
I don't think we have a motion on the floor, so I was just gonna put a motion on the floor to approve accepting the recommended bid award to Pember for 547,096 as recommended by staff to proceed with the project and
Second.
funded as described.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Jurassic. Discussion. Alder Benash?
When the funds are used up for that water, are you anticipating any other projects throughout the year through 2025? You've got 75,000 left. Is there anything else that you think that might be happening?
So this is the only water project that we have within the capital improvements list this year. That money, we've actually had the 275 in there for a number of years. Each year we get a fund balance sheet that's put out by the auditors on the fund balances. And I try to work with the finance department when we're doing our capital improvements budget, and we don't want to carry a lot of money in those fund balances. We try to direct them to other projects, but we always leave some money in the fund balances just for an item like this. Because we've had other projects where we've directed that money to other projects. We've actually got a storm sewer repair. It's going to be coming up pretty soon that we're probably going to bring to Board Public Works and do the same thing because it's an emergency type thing. So I think we still have funds if something would happen in the water utility, just in the fund balance itself in the water utility. But I feel confident that this is a good use of those funds for a project like this.
So we'd have 75,000 possibly to carry over into 2026.
That's correct.
Thank you, Jared.
Thanks,
Alder
Sabrina.
Jurassic?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can you give us a rough start date and end date on this?
Oh, I would hope that they'd start about the middle of June, end of July, somewhere between that end of June to July, and then hopefully have it done by fall.
End of it. I'm
And
sorry.
have it done by fall.
Thank you.
That's our goal.
Chair.
Any other questions? Sabrina?
I was just going to add, these dollars that Jared is speaking of, these are monies that we've already borrowed for. They're sitting in our CIP account, so they're like leftover funds that we're able to use. So it is a fund balance, but it's not coming directly from the water utility. So just, I think the majority of you understand that, but just want to put that on record that this is coming from the CIP money that was designated for water funds, and we have to keep it separate, not from the water utility itself.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion to approve the bid, item 5, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 6, change order number 4 for Onalaska Community Center project.
In your packet tonight, on page 4 is the proposed change order number 4 for the Onalaska Community Center project. You can see that we have approved a little over $143,000 in change orders to this point. This change order is just under $119,000. Adding those together, we are still about 80,000 under what we had with the contingency. So we do still have contingency funds left in the project, even after these change orders. There are 11 items in the change order. I'll just point out kind of some of the highlights of those. There we installed a retaining wall and did some work behind the softball field for grading purposes to get the grades to work out. That was $36,276. Signage and donor signage was $30,617. Fiber optic connection to the facility to hook into our city fiber network, $16,243. And then an ADA compliant dishwasher was $9,334. So there's 11 items, but those are the kind of the highlights of those items. So yes, Kevin's here too. He's been involved with a lot of the change order work that's been happening. So if we got specific questions, we can direct it.
Thank you, Jared. Mayor Kim?
I'll move that we approve change order number 4 for items A through K totaling $118,898.20.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, seconded by Alder Jurassic to approve change order number 4 in the total amount of $118,898.20. Discussion. Alder Benash.
Jared, how much did we bond for this particular community center?
So we bonded $4 million even, and the rest of it was from donations. And I mean, Sabrina could probably accentuate on that.
Yeah, and for donations, I think we're over 1.5 million of what we've received in donations so far.
That's where the contingency would come from the donations?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Jared.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the change order number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 7, Quincy Street and 6th Avenue North Lift Station Pump Replacement. Jared?
In your packet tonight, we do have a quote for a new pump. There are 3 pumps at that station. We're currently down to 2. The entire north third of the city does flow into that lift station, so it's a very important lift station for us. A few weeks ago, one of the pumps was plugged, lifting it out, got it all 30 feet out of the hole, and the lift hook broke. The pump fell 30 feet back into the wet well. You can see on page 51 of your packet tonight, we broke everything on it. So the pump housing is broken, the guide claw is broken, the stator housing is broken, the cooling jacket was bent, needs rotor stator, seals, bearings, and O-rings. So the time we got done trying to fix or looking at fixing the pump and the cost of a new pump, staff recommended that we purchase a new pump to put in the lift station. It is in the amount of $31,438. It was not budgeted for, but the sanitary sewer utility does have funds in the budget to cover the purchase of that pump. If we would need to, we do have a $450,000 equipment replacement emergency fund that we are required to have, but I think the utility itself will be able to cover the cost of the pump. So we are ordering the pump.
Thank you, Jared.
but we should have action on that.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the purchasing of the pump for $31,438.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder Kim, excuse me, Mayor Kim, you were once. Mayor Kim, second by, who did I hear?
Alder-
Alder, I'm not, I gotta get used to saying Alder Banash. It's been a few years. So, motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Banash to approve item 7 in the amount $31,438. Discussion. Alder Banash and then, Jurassic.
Just, who was removing the pump at the time that it was damaged?
Our staff,
It was the staff.
yeah, our staff was removing the pump. We were doing it, we actually were using a that we fabricated. We've been using it for 18 years and it just must have got fatigued over time.
Well, the only reason I asked is see if there was another party responsible for subrogation, but that's not the
Yep.
case. So, all right. Thank you, Jared.
Alder Jurassic.
Thank you, Chair. You got any idea when the pumps can get in?
They said 30 to 60 days and we're hoping it's 30. Because if we get another pump go out, we'll be in a,
So the pumps we have currently will support the area that this pump that's broken.
yeah, the two pumps can handle, they alternate between the two. So
Great.
when we designed that lift station, staff went back and forth between 2 and 3 pumps. And this is part of the reason we put in 3 pumps. So if we would have been down to 1, we probably would have had to have had them find us some sort of temporary pump to put in.
Are you also ordering a new hook?
We're gonna try and figure out a different way to lift it, but we're trying, the reason we use the hook we did is so we don't have to send an individual down in the confined space to hook the pump itself. So it's a give and take on how do we do our procedures and operations, and we try and limit the amount of time we send an actual staff member into the confined space, so.
I had a cave-in when I worked for a heavy highway construction company, and I will never forget manning or womaning the radio and hearing them come and the ragged breathing where they ran to call for emergency. And we saved everyone, but you just never forgive that. So I will always err on the side of safety, even more so. So, only question I have of you, Jared, is there any warranty on this left?
No, the pump was almost 7 years old. There wasn't any warranty. We are looking at possibly turning it in for insurance though, so we're gonna see what we can do.
Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number 8, Sand Lake Road / US Highway 53 Regional Pond Hydrology Analysis Amendment Number 1.
In your packet tonight, the staff report does outline what this project is. So we did have Strand perform the Sand Lake Road US Highway 53 Regional Pond Hydrology Analysis. That is what we refer to as the Menards Pond, the stormwater ponding area by the Menards facility. This project is designing it's not the design, it's the hydraulic analysis of the drainage area from the traditional trades development on the east side of Sand Lake Road and the Mayo properties. We can have a project where we get all that stormwater going over to a further excavated Menards Pond area. So all the stormwater can get stored in that area. And also we can meet DNR standards for our MS4 permit for that area. Once the report was completed, we forwarded on to the Wisconsin DNR because it is a floodplain area. So once they got looking at it, they actually wanted to have a few things done. So in order to get their concurrence, which we need, we are having Strand work on submitting the model in a different format, which they are requiring, which is different than the federal FEMA format, which we thought that the FEMA format would work, and they're telling us it's not going to. They will also look at the further modeling of existing conditions. We have to go back further before the current area was filled and do more modeling for pre-existing conditions before it was modeled. And then also floodplain impacts from Sand Lake Coulee Creek. So approximately over 30 years ago, there used to be a culvert that went under County Trunk Highway S between the ponding area by Cedar Creek, that is by Crosby Road, going over to the traditional trades area where they're developing the large senior housing buildings. That was removed in a project in 1999, but it still has impacts from Sand Lake Road that the DNR wants to have confirmed that there are no impacts. So there's a variety of questions. Once you start looking at the engineering services, we've had multiple Zoom meetings with our consultant and the DNR already, and multiple meetings with Kevin and myself, asking questions of the consultant and what their work will be. This work will be quite substantive. It'll, as you can tell by the increase in services, the page and a half that's in your report tonight on pages 62 and 63 doesn't do it justice for the work that actually has to be done. So it comes down to, if we want to have that land developed, and that's part of the TID. The TID will be paying for these services. There's about 10 acres of FEMA floodplain that basically will make about 20 acres of land, everything to the south, Riders Club and those new traditional trade senior housing buildings, without getting this done, will be undevelopable. So we really need to get this done to keep that area, developing. We don't have a lot of area left in the city. I think this is a major project to get, to keep this going, and we can keep our hopefully some growth going.
Thank you, Jared. Mayor Kim.
I move to approve the amendment number 1 for $38,000 to be paid as described through the TID 6.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by our Finance Director Sabrina Steger. And discussion. Alder Benash.
I know since this isn't first district, which I represent, Zone A. Zone A is what in particular?
Zone A is mapped FEMA floodplain. So
Where is the floodplain?
the
That's
floodplain, that is basically, there is an area that is mapped as floodplain right now to the south of those buildings and behind the vet clinic. That whole low spot down in there is all mapped as FEMA floodplain. So our goal with this is to take all that mapped floodplain and move it over to the Menards Pond. And by doing that, then we make all that area available for development and future tax base.
all right. So any water runoff would have to run underneath Sand Lake Road to get over to this pond area.
As part of the original analysis, part of the analysis was confirm that it was possible and confirm that it would do those things that we have hoped it would, which the analysis did confirm. We will, once we get this work done in concurrence to DNR, that they are in approval of our concept and our report, we will be letting a design contract to a consulting engineer to design we're going to take over 100,000 yards of sand out of the existing ponding area. So the whole ponding area that's down low will be across that whole ponding area over toward the interchange. And once that sand gets moved out, we'll put a pipe, probably the design will be 2 pipes, probably one on the south end and one on the north end of the ponding area, to move that 100-year storm event, which would be a 1% annual chance, would meet the FEMA criteria of water from the east side of the road to the west side of the road.
And the city bought this property years ago, didn't we?
Correct. We bought, we had the Menards ponding area since that was developed in the early 90s when Menards was developed, but we actually bought the 6 acres from the DOT, the part that sits at a higher elevation. We bought that from the DOT approximately 5-6 years ago just for this purpose. This has been a long-range plan that we've been working toward to get this done.
Are the developers responsible for anything like this, helping out to pay for the stormwater since they've taken over a floodplain?
Yeah, so that is the reason that we did the TID, the tax incremental financing district, for those buildings. So all of that development that's occurring is going to pay for the project that is happening. So that TID funds there's a variety of projects in the TID plan. One of them is this stormwater conveyance. So this will not only clear the traditional trade site, it'll clear the mail site. So we'll probably gain 5 acres of developable land in the Mayo site also that would be used for stormwater. That will be now on the west side of the road. And then also the extension of Riders Club Road to go off the roundabout to serve both Mayo and traditional trades. And we have a project in that TID of doing improvements at the Sand Lake Road, County Trunk Highway SN intersection, possibly putting in a roundabout or something like that. So we have a variety of projects in the TID that are going to benefit not only just the developers, but I think the public in general. And by having the TID financing assisting with this, I think the city, hopefully someone's going to look back 20, 30 years from now and look at what a great developable area that we're going to end up with. So
That area that's across from where the holding pond is now, is that still owned by Mayo?
at this time, it is currently, yes.
And they're still paying taxes on that particular lot?
It's ag. It's
Ag,
ag, so it's,
Okay.
I'm sure the assessments are rather low.
The answer to the question is yes.
Thank you, Jared.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number 9, 2025 pavement project bid.
In your packet tonight on page 65, we do have the bid opening results. There was only one bidder, Matthew Construction. This is typical for a paving project bid. Relatively small bid for us this year. We're only doing about 600 feet of North Kinney Cooley Road plus our normal crack filling, center line painting, and some of those things are also within this bid. There's a variety of capital project funds that are paying for the project. We do have, as part of this also, North Kinney is receiving local road improvement state funds. So we are getting almost 43,000 toward that North Kinney project, but the rest of it is a variety of capital improvement funds and operating accounts to pay for this project.
Mayor Kim.
I guess I'll put the motion on the floor and then I have a question. I move that we approve the 2025 pavement project bid to Matthew for $223,225.79. Funding as described through the miscellaneous sources. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Jurassic to approve item 9, the 2025 pavement bid project. Discussion.
And then under discussion, my question was, what was budgeted?
So including the chip seal, we have 400,000 in capital improvements, 25 pavement maintenance, 2024 capital improvements. We have 67,000 left over from the pavement maintenance in there. We'll get 42,987 from North Kinney LRIP. We budgeted 53,013 in North Kinney for the 2025 capital improvements. We'll take 18,000 out of the street operating account to help offset part of the costs of center line painting. And we're going to utilize 60,000 from the 2025 Theater Road PH capital improvements project.
The question was more in the context of how did the bid come out in
Oh,
comparison to your projected?
About 20,000 under what the
Okay.
engineer's estimate
was favorable
So
then.
it's fairly close, but it was under. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Alder Jurassic.
Thank you, Chair. With only Matthew being the only bidder on this, is it in line or are they,
They are the
Yeah.
only asphalt paving contractor
I don't know,
anywhere.
so we're stuck with whatever they say is,
And the bid prices are consistent with what they've been in the past within reason. Yeah.
okay.
Jared, one question I have is, are we chip sealing less just because of the cost?
Well, we're fortunate that we saved some money last year in pavement maintenance that is reflected in our budget for these items. So we're holding our own, with what we're doing. The good thing is we've kept up all these years. We're not in a hole. So we have enough, our crack filling price and the fiber work that we do on the streets the cost is relatively above what it is probably in other spots because we're doing such small amounts of work over a larger area, so it's more expensive per pound of crack filler. But that's a good thing because that means we've been keeping up and we're not covering just large areas where it's easy to just smear it on per se. So, it's going to change from year to year, but the cost of crack filling and chip seal has gone up exponentially each year, and part of it's the cost of materials.
Thank you. Mayor Kim?
I think this is an appropriate place where I can comment that I was able to be with Jared and Kevin and some representatives from the DOT recently. And they had nothing but favorable comments about the city of Onalaska and our pavement maintenance program and all the good work that our team is doing here to take care of the roads that we have in comparison to other people that they see statewide. And so I think it's worth recognizing our team for the great job they're doing on maintaining the roadways that we have here in Onalaska. So thank you all for that. We appreciate it. And you are being recognized.
Well, it's a big team. I mean, just in our public works department, whether it's our frontline staff doing a chip seal, I mean, we try and chip seal. We have staff stay on weekends work, so it's a compliment to our frontline staff, our mid-level managers that are constantly looking for ways to make things better. Kevin designing road projects and just everything in general. But it's a multi-year effort that really is something that you don't see until you get to the point where you realize you're too late.
And that's why I was asking, because as someone who will always support, doing as much as we can, be, financially feasible, but I'm just concerned with prices that the way they've been going up, that there's going to come a time where we may have to start doing less, and I'm not really happy about that. I'm sure none of us are, but I just have a concern, so.
Yeah. And when I said you're being recognized, I didn't mean by me here in this meeting. I meant by the DOT, representatives from the DOT that see roads across the entire state of Wisconsin, and they're able to look at our roads and say, you guys are doing things right. So thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number 10, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, MS4, Permit Public Education and Outreach Topics.
I'll let Kevin take this one. He's our MS4 permit person.
Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Jared. So in your packet tonight is some public education and outreach. As part of our storm water permit we get from the DNR, we are required to do some public education and outreach at multiple times during the year. This is a similar report. We brought this forward last year, right? But it's just a good time when we get into when spring has sprung to remind ourselves, the citizens, the elected officials here in the city of Onalaska, ways we can do to improve, maintain our stormwater, right? We live in such a beautiful area here with the rivers and bluffs. So anything we can do to educate our residents or staff on ways we can all chip in to help reduce stormwater pollution, stormwater runoff. So this is just a shout out. This is our consortium, the La Crosse Area Waters. Diane, you've been to some of these Soak It Up award events, right? With our signage, right? So it's just a good way. The website there, lacrosseareawaters.org, has good information for from commercial businesses, what you can do residentially, what we as a group, right? The consortium, City of La Crosse, City of Holmen, West Salem, there's about 7 or 8 municipalities now. In that consortium, we try to work together to effectively communicate stormwater management, educate the citizens of the Cooley region really on stormwater prevention. So the attached slides here will go over the 8 various topics that are required by the DNR for our stormwater public education and outreach. So first one, the topic of illicit discharge detection and elimination, right? In the photo there, right? We want to keep things out of the drains. I said, so sometimes you get where you can't, people don't know where to take it. So illicit discharge is any discharge into a municipal stormwater system, storm drains, pipes that is not composed entirely of stormwater. So we want to keep things, waste oil, cooking grease, paint, chemicals, out of our storm sewer systems, and just something to remember, you know, that those drains lead to the waterways, right? Those storm drains do not lead to the treatment plants that ultimately go to the waterways. So we try to keep those kind of pollutants outside of our storm sewer system. The next topic is household hazardous waste and disposal, proper management of household materials that may cause stormwater pollution. Once again, things where people look around and I only have a little bit of paint or gas or oil, and how can I get rid of it? Do want to let everybody know that these items should go if you have anybody or if a resident asks, right? These items are things that the La Crosse County landfill, right, does take. They have the hazardous household materials area over there for drop off of citizens, right? And on the bottom there, if residents can look at the 2025 recycler on the city's website to see where they can dispose of these certain items for household hazardous wastes. Yard waste management. Yard waste can contain nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen that can be used up, oxygen in the rivers and stream. Yard waste can also increase sediment in water bodies. Just a reminder to everybody, the city does run our yard waste collection program, right? That pickup did start April 1st. Citizens can get yard waste carts through the city and do need the annual yard waste sticker. In the fall, the city does provide our vacuum leaf collection service. You wouldn't think that leaves could provide a pollutant issue, but if you get enough, it's the sediment in them and the organic matter they add to the streams that can cause algae blooms. The city does run our street sweeping program annually to assist with this. And remember that leaves can be used for mulch in the fall instead of being disposed of down drains. Stream and shoreline management, minimize stream and shoreline erosion, restore ecological value to waterways. How the city participates in some of this, we have some of our building setback requirements to our planning when we get into areas of the city by our waterways. Another good way is to keep trees and plantings along the banks to slow down runoff, buffer strips if a resident would live along a waterway, right, allowing some grass and some buffer where nutrients can be trapped within the vegetation and help slow the speed of the stormwater. And in some areas, selective riprap is important to help maintain the banks of the stream. Residential infiltration. Residents and residential properties can reduce stormwater runoff and pollutants in a variety of ways. Our consortium, we will have one, and I'll get it out. We will have another event in the near future, I believe in June, for residents on how they can learn how to make and create a rain barrel. So our partners with Habitat Humanity do put on a yearly event that we will publicize for residents who want to learn more about it. You can also plant trees. Another thing that most people might think about is cleaning up pet waste, right? There are pollutants and nutrients in that, and too much can lead to an algae bloom. And also remember that to reduce or use the proper amount of fertilizers, pesticides on your lawn, and please don't try to do any applications prior to a rain event. Construction site stormwater management, right? So this is something the city does with our erosion control permitting for not only residential properties, but also commercial properties. For the construction, erosion control with proper silt fence, silt socks, swales, and temporary seeding. The city does inspect and enforce erosion control per our DNR permit for various construction projects throughout the city. And remember, for post-construction, again, make sure especially when you get into larger commercial developments, right? This is more for those properties within the city, right? To maintain your stormwater features, right? Make sure the plantings are trimmed about every 5 to 10 years. You'd probably have to go out and do some sort of sediment removal in those ponds. That all helps everything in the area if we all work together. Next slide is pollution prevention. Just some simple ways, right, to try to remember, right, if you are a resident, right, some ideas: wash your car on the grass or take it to a car wash, right? If you wash and put soap on your car and let it run down your driveway, right, that'll go right into the storm sewer system. So if you can, if you have enough space there, or actually a car wash is probably the best because those items are collected and disposed of through the sanitary sewer system. For businesses, and this is one, I know our partners at Wisconsin Saltwise, right? Just the amount of salt that's actually needed for effective snow and ice removal versus the amount sometimes that is actually applied in fear of liability cases. So just we always try to reach out to our business partners. Currently, has chlorides do increase in our waterways about proper and safe salt usage during the winter months. And finally, the last topic for our outreach is green infrastructure and low impact design. These promote environmentally sensitive land developments to developers. Green roof, landscaping, bioswales can be a thing. The benefits for putting some of these items in are better air and water quality and property aesthetics. I thank everybody for listening for this, and please feel free to reach out, or if you have any residents that may come to you about how I can better help with stormwater management, please pass my name along and I will be glad to speak with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Alder Jurassic.
Thank you, Chair. Kevin, the rainwater barrels, do we have those in the city that we sell to people or?
We do not yet have a program on Jurassic about like something where the city would sell those, right? A lot of times those are items that residents have to do, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint there. Last year, our partners, right, Habitat for Humanity does assist the stormwater group as a whole, right? They are our consultant, I'll say, on this. They do run an annual program where they do have a shop and they do have, I think, maybe 10 to 15 barrels that people can come in to do. I was just actually on an email today with them through the group that they are planning probably in June to host that event. So once I get that date, I will pass that along, but currently, right, the city does not have a stock rain barrel that you could come in and buy from the city. Those are more something a third party or a homeowner would maybe create themselves at this time.
At least we have a point of contact where we can send them to.
Correct, and we can give them information on the website, lacrosseareawaters.org. Actually, there is some demonstrations there and how you could make one yourself at home,
Okay.
right? Parts and pieces people would need to start that process.
Thank you.
I remember when they advertised last year, and I think it was maybe back then it was maybe circa $50 or something, but it looked very interesting. I'm sure I don't know for a fact, but I bet they got quite a few people. Alder Benash.
I'm not familiar with the MS4 permit. Can you kind of explain what that is? It says that there's 6 areas of education. Okay. But the MS4 permit, is that something we have to apply for every year or who issues it?
I can take it. I'll take it, Jared. So yeah, so in the state of Wisconsin, any community over 10,000 people, or depending on some of your density for certain townships, do have to get what is for the DNR a stormwater discharge permit. Similar to something we have, we have discharge permits for the water utility, right? And sometimes if we would have a wastewater treatment plant, there's stuff for the treatment plant. This is the third part with stormwater. So there are a variety of metrics we track and have to report to the DNR about our stormwater management, right? Making sure we are trying to do the best we can, right? To make sure that we limit the amount of pollutant sediment that is discharged to the local waterways from our storm sewer system. And as part of that tracking in the permit, right, there's really not a lot on the stormwater side. There's not a lot of physical chemical properties, right? Like with water, you have certain constituents you test for, right? Stormwater is, at least in the DNR, is more about, and especially for this, educating the people, right? Letting people know that, hey, just because you have something, pouring it down that drain, that actually doesn't go to the sewer, that goes to the river, right? And how you can best yourself try to educate in this point. I think our permit itself, the total permit is about 62 pages, right? This is one portion of the total permit for the education and outreach. This is sort of a newer part of that permit, trying to get the word out, right? Where, the little you can do actually helps. If every resident would have a rain barrel, that would greatly decrease the amount of stormwater runoff from homes into the city storm sewer system. So trying to make us act as a whole with that. And this is just one portion of the overall permit.
Thank you, Kevin.
Just to add to that a little bit, we've been hiring more consultant help to meet the permit. We were audited a few years ago and part of it's modeling of our storm sewer system and how much runoff and pollutant loading we have going off. So we can do things like street sweeping and picking up the leaves and things, but there's a lot to the permit and we're trying to do better at meeting the expectations of the permit. Trying to staff, just trying to find the time for all of the permit things to be done is very difficult. So we've been enlisting more, like I said, consultant help. We've been budgeting for more consultant help in each year's budget. And we're going to be possibly looking at even trying to staff more for it. It's just the reality of the last time we were audited, it just, we got to do a better job. That's what it comes down to. So I don't think we're doing a terrible job, but I mean, it just, there's room for improvement and I think there's an expectation of improvement.
And the DNR seems to increase their level of expectations and, we have to meet them one way or another. If I may ask, who put together this packet? Very nice work. Thank you for that. I will entertain a motion to accept this and place on file.
So move.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderman Nash, second by Jared Holder to accept and put on file item number 10. Discussion? All those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 11, change order number 1 for 2025 cemetery columbarium project. Jared.
In your packet tonight, we do have on page 78, the proposed change order number 1 for cemetery columbarium project. With the bid that came in and what we have budgeted, we looked at the area to be excavated out and trying to do it with our city staff. It got to the point where there's enough material and a big enough backhoe needed that we just, we solicited a change order for it to have that material taken away. And then we also did not bid out a sprinkler system in the columbarium area. We did, as part of this change order, request a sprinkler system. We do have enough money in the budget to cover these items, trying to get the best product when we're done that we can. You can see that the proposed change order is $33,761, brings us to $359,927, and we had $380,000 in the capital improvements budget.
Thank you, Jared. Mayor Kim.
I'll get the motion on the floor and then I have a question. I'll make a motion to approve change order 1 for the columbarium project. The total is 33,761.16. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Finance Director Sabrina Steger. Discussion, Mayor Kim.
Under discussion, what was the projected date that the columbarium was going to arrive? We ordered it last year.
Yeah, we actually didn't order it. It
We
actually
didn't?
was, we bid it out with the project. So
Oh.
Kevin has approved the shop drawing 6 weeks ago or so to, yeah, but it's not going to be here till October, basically.
October, okay.
We'll probably hopefully start the project in June. They'll start, right after Memorial Day, the city forces will start removing the street, getting the area black dirted, but hopefully the contractor Fowler and Hammer will start the concrete work. We're hoping in July to get it all in, but the actual columbarium will not be delivered until October.
So when would they projectedly go for sale? Because I've had people ask me and I'm like, I don't.
I have
know.
to, I just sent an internal email to staff. We're hoping to get together and figure out we have a framework of a business plan per se. on
Right.
what We're going to propose, but we need to get that formally written down and present that to the A&F committee in either June or July.
Okay.
Get that approved.
So we'll
and
just
then-
say like later fall.
Yeah, I'm hoping by August 1st, we could be selling them and we got it. Yeah, and we can gotta get the finance department on
Yeah.
making sure we got the right paperwork for
If-
people downstairs when they come in and.
If they understand there may be a delay between when they get interred, right? Because intermed or whatever the word is.
Intern,
Interned.
yeah. So we are working on that and that is a goal to get that obviously done because I've been getting calls also.
Okay.
People wanting, hopefully we can sell it, the first one, we can, I hate to fill anything fast out there, but I mean, hopefully we can get it utilized and we get to the point we'll have room that we can actually place more out on site. So,
Right.
I think it's going to be an addition to the cemetery once it's completed. It's going to be a relatively neat area.
Yeah, it is weird, but people are excited about it.
But that's kind of nice too. Sabrina?
Oh, I was just gonna add, Jared, I have 390, 390,000, so it gives you an extra 10,000.
So, well,
You'll take it? Okay.
And if I'm asked, is your department getting phone calls about, us, closing the street and all that? Like, what are you doing? And
we haven't really gotten too many calls about closing the street because we have, we just kind of close it on a temporary basis right now. But I have had people asking about the project. I actually did talk to a landowner that lives across the street and they think it's awesome what we've done. So just, getting it looking the way it is. So hopefully we will finish removing some of the stumps in the area that we have removed trees and get that cleaned up once we continue the project. So I'm hoping by fall it'll be looking even different than it is today out there, and it'll be another item in our cemetery that people, the public looks at our cemetery as a park area, and I think this will be another addition to that area.
cool. Any other questions, discussion? Alder Jurassic?
Thank you, Chair. So is more of that hill gonna be taken off, or where they got it seated right now, is that gonna be it?
So that's going to be it. Relatively, that's going to be it for now. Once we, there will be another maybe 5 years, 10 years from now. I would envision at some point they're going to have to, we'll do more grading on that hill to get it down to a spot where we can sell graves in it. As I stated, when we were going through the columbarium process, there's approximately just over 30 years of room left in the cemetery. So at the current rates that we're having interments, so we will need obviously the first area we would sell would be where the old road was, where it's flat, going to be, that's going to be the easiest. And then the next spot after that we'll go into the hillside there, but.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 12, change order number 1 for 2025 miscellaneous concrete project. Jared?
Thank you. In your packet tonight on page 81 is a proposed change order for the 2025 miscellaneous concrete project. This is for the addition of the retaining wall on Prowley Road that was included in the capital improvements budget. We did not put it into the bid. We looked at the easiest way once we got the bid out and looking at it, we were going to do it as a change order. Received a cost, and the cost was actually pretty good for the change order. So we are bringing it forward for approval to get that project completed.
Thank you, Jared.
I'll move to approve change order number 1 for the 2025 miscellaneous concrete projects, $15,840 for that retaining wall at Prowley Road.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Jurassic to approve item number 12, discussion.
Sabrina's already looking, but we had 25,000 budgeted if I am correct.
I think I showed 20, but
Well,
the Esther Drive, right?
yep.
Yeah, we had 20, but
Did it start out at 25 maybe? Oh,
I'm
you're
still
looking
5
back
ahead.
once.
you're
I'm still 5 ahead.
Still 5 ahead.
Yeah, we have to be happy we're still under though.
Yep.
So discussion. Alder Benash.
This is just more for my own understanding. We own the property where they're building this retaining wall. Is this also in the town of Shelby? Because I know, isn't that part of that area also considered part of the town of Shelby?
Town of Madera, actually.
Area, I'm sorry.
But this is our right of way. Once you get further down on Esther Drive, where it turns into the other street. It does, part of it is in a
Valley
tournament area,
Road.
but this is a
Hester Drive.
city residence and it is city owned right away.
Right, so the retaining wall is for the purpose of environmental and water and,
Yeah, so the retaining wall, the house was actually in the township, when the subdivision went in the early nineties. And the retaining wall at the time, been done a couple times. When the subdivision went in, they put a flagstone wall like you see in front of the cemetery where we just put the flagstone blocks. That lasted about 20 years and we replaced it with a wall. And when we replaced it with the wall, we tried to go as economical as we could and do a smaller wall. And at the time, we should put more wall in. That's what we're ending up doing now. So we're coming back 10 years after the last wall that was put in and extending it
but
for safety reasons.
it's more than just aesthetics. It's a
It's
necessity.
It's a slope issue that's a safety reason that we're putting it in. It's not aesthetics. It's for maintaining the street and maintaining the slope behind it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor of item number 12, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, I am a nay. So item 13, construction engineering services for Theater Road / PH improvement. Jared.
In your packet tonight on page 84 is a proposal from MSA Professional Services for construction staking and services for Theater Road PH Roundabout project. In your packet tonight, they do have two different phases. The administration and construction staking would be a total of 26,500. Just with our staffing levels and trying to keep up with all the projects, we don't have enough time to be timely to get out there for the construction staking. So we are looking at getting assistance from MSA. They are the engineer that designed the project, so that is within their scope of work that they know what's going on. There are multiple different things that they're going to stake. So if you go on to page 86, you can see there's a variety of things they're going to have a stake. So there's going to be multiple visits to do that. So we do have funds within the project construction budget to cover these services through the capital improvement budget.
I move
you,
that we
Jared.
approve the construction engineering services with MSA estimated at $26,500 for the Theater Road PH improvement project.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Jurassic to approve item number 13 for the packet. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item number 14, Theater Road / PH improvement project construction staging. Jared.
I'll let Kevin take this one if he wants to for the proposed roundabout project that's going to start soon.
Kevin.
Thank you, Jared. In the packet tonight, we just wanted to have it in the meeting, right? We will be having the pre-construction meeting for this project tomorrow. And currently I am anticipating that this project would start after Memorial Day weekend. So I believe it's the 27th, the Tuesday, the 27th. I'm currently anticipating this. So on page 89, right, it shows when we do the reconstruction of the roundabout, we will close the intersection during construction. This is similar to what we did at East Avenue and Riders Club Road for a similar size roundabout in 2023. All the business owners in the area are aware of that, but once I have the official start date tomorrow from our pre-construction meeting, I will be going up the Theater Road corridor, letting all the businesses know the construction schedule. But everybody adjacent to it, the 4 landowners adjacent that sit actually on the roundabout itself, we have been in contact with them for the last year, 18 months as the project is developed. We had to buy right away from all of them to fit the roundabout, so they are aware of the concept and that would we be closing the intersection during construction. The project with our closing of the intersection, we did bid in an expedited schedule. So once the project starts, the contractor will have 77 calendar days to complete the entire project. So Some of the assistance of closing the intersection allows them more room. They don't have to deal with traffic, so we can expedite construction. If you turn to the next page, on page 90, included in the project, right, and in those 77 days I mentioned, we are actually building a roundabout. Then as part of the project, we will do a mill and asphalt overlay on Theater Road from the northern end of this intersection all the way to the north side of Theater Road, north of I-90 on there. So this would probably be the last, I'll say, a week or two milling the surface off and repainting all the lines out there. So just wanted to let council here and the general public know before we start this. This is our layout and schedule. Like I said, I am hoping that actually we will bring in the project under the 77 calendar days. But just wanted to let everybody know that we are getting close to it and let everybody know the general construction schedule and how that will work. The city will be, when we do put out a press release, we will be advising residents to get around this. We will be advising them to use East Main Street and State Highway 16, right? As this closure becomes official and it goes up, I would assume there'll be some additional local traffic, Rudy, Braun Street, potentially the private road of probably Center Drive, but the city will put out something that the best way to get around the closed intersection would be to use State Highway 16 and East Main Street. Would open it up for any questions if anybody had on the project.
Let's get a motion on the floor first.
Yeah, on the first map.
Does it need a motion?
More informational.
Oh, I'm sorry.
here.
Yeah, yeah. Alder Jurassic and then Alder Benash.
On your map on 89, towards the top portion of your X there, it's one way. Is it supposed to be in there or it's gonna be cut out completely, correct?
Oh, the one way there, Larry, that's just a sign when we, as part of the project, when you come out of the Cooley Bank, right, we'll have a one way that you're only gonna be able to go
To the right.
out of the bank driveway on PH, right? Because we will have the intersection closed. So that's more of a construction. This is a construction stage signing. So, you know, that'd be similar like for Wells Fargo. When you come out of that, you're only going to go easterly towards the Walgreens and Target Edge. You're not going to be able to go back to Theater Road. So that's what that means.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Alder Benash?
I guess I just wanted to clarify where this is going to be. That is an extremely busy intersection. The bank, McDonald's, and the roundabout is, is it going to be 2 lanes for this roundabout? Especially when you have holidays and it's always busy. I'm just
Yep.
wondering the traffic flow is going to be tremendous for a roundabout.
Yeah, so the single lane, the good thing, the roundabout design, now obviously we have to have people that understand the proper etiquette of driving through a roundabout, which sometimes are difficulties. But right now you go up to that 4-way stop. I actually live out in this area, so I travel through here all the time. During heavy traffic at times, no one knows who should go when, where with the roundabout, once you get in the roundabout, it's pretty cut and dried who is supposed to yield when you get in the roundabout. And the roundabout can actually take, 12,000 cars a day. And this roundabout, I think there's about 7,500, 8,000 out here. Now it's, as you state, it peaks at certain times where you might go out there, certain times there's hardly any traffic, but then during certain times it's very heavy. But they've got software, they've modeled these and go through everything. And I think it's going to work like a charm, but I guess, we got to take a little bit of the designers. There's the people that designed this one, Ben and Amanda, they've designed about 50 or 60 of them in the state in the last probably 10 years. So I'm comfortable that it's going to function and it should function good. We do have special sensors coming back from 16, so it interacts with the signal light properly. That was one of the things Kevin worked with the DOT on to make sure that we don't get any traffic, hopefully, from the signal light. That's one thing we did take into account that we were worried about. So there are, it's a difficult area. It's a difficult area, and this project has been on the list for probably 20 years. And we kind of held off on it for a number of years to wait for the 16 to see what was going to happen in Highway 16. And we finally just bypassed what was going to be done out there to fix our problem. And we did actually receive local road improvement funding to pay for part of this project. And that was a discretionary grant that we received that we competed statewide for. So.
Mayor Kim?
I just was going to add on that when we first started talking about this, I live in this area too, so I pass through this area a lot. And as Alder Benash said, like I had a lot of apprehension about it. One of the things that worried me the most, just knowing the volume, is just how close this is to Highway 16 and there's a light there. And then just thinking like if things started to get messed up, like there isn't a lot of distance, like right by McDonald's there. If it starts to back up, like it's already going to be out into the intersection. And then what are we going to do? So I do feel your pain, Alder Benash, and trying to visualize it. But I know that, as you said, the state traffic engineers have looked at this and endorsed this design. And I think it's been fully vetted out. And so I think we just need to trust people that do traffic engineering for a living and have looked at the models that we have here. And this has been, as we say, fully vetted out as far as traffic design, as we move forward. So it's time to find out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
So,
Jared?
so we, I think there was a lot of apprehension when we proposed the roundabout 5 years ago at Green Coulee Road. And, once again, if you get everyone driving to the rules of the road, it hasn't backed up into the signal. It hasn't backed up into Ultra. It's 2 lanes, but you're putting 20,000 cars a day through that roundabout. So it's more traffic than what's out at PH and Theater. So, but I know there's a lot of apprehension out there too before that project, and actually it happens to be the same roundabout designers that designed this one. So, I'm hopeful, and I really think we're in good hands. So.
Sabrina?
Jared, I think I vaguely remember you mentioning that if there were issues with things backing up, that the state would take a look at the lights and how often it changes. Is that correct? Or am I remembering something?
Yeah, so part of what I was talking about is we're actually putting a sensor in our project that's going to be, part of our project is they got to run a wire up all the way to the cabinet that's by McDonald's by the 16 intersection. So we're going to have a sensor in the pavement. So that way then the lights will know if the traffic is backed up. So hopefully then they can clear it. It can override the light and clear it out. Obviously there's different protocols. So if something else is on a higher demand than that, it might get bumped. So I'm not going to say that it's always going to work perfectly, but it was a key part of the design. Our consultant working with the DOT and Kevin and everything. And I think that was a great thing that we got put in there at the end. So.
Thank you, Jared. So just following up on both Alder Benash and Mayor Kim, I know, I think almost all of us were here when we were, except Jim, when we talked about this at great length, and there were a lot of questions and a lot of alderpersons' concern, but at the end, like Mayor Kim said, we decided to go ahead and agree with the traffic engineers and such. This is what they do best and they do it every day. I just look at, the roundabout on East Avenue, the 2 on 35, the one on Green Coulee. I think what's really neat about all of those is that it just feels like they were always there. That's how I always kind of judge something in many ways. Does it look like it just belonged there? And it did. And I just can't imagine going back with Green Coulee. Oh my goodness. And didn't we talk about, because we were talking at one time about, there was some concern on the elections point of view about making it bigger, because we did have a lot of concerns about that. So we did talk about this to death, I promise you. But I feel comfortable going forward, and I think it's going to be a great addition. One last thing I have to ask Jared and or Kevin. It seems like whenever I'm out there, morning, noon, night, it doesn't seem matter any time of day or whatever. Is there as much traffic out there as what there used to be? It just doesn't seem, at least when I'm out, I just don't see the traffic that I used to, unless it's been shifted.
Yeah, I guess I haven't looked at the actual traffic counts for a while, but I don't think they've changed drastically. I mean, I'm sure they're cyclic, and some of it depends on the development. Part of it last year too was with construction of Midwest Drive, that probably pushed some people in some different directions too. So it would have been last summer. So, but depending on, now we're seeing, the old Midwest Securities building sat vacant for a number of years. Now you've got 600 Quick Trip employees in that building. So that's generating more trips, and you've got the Mayo Clinic, and you've added a couple car dealerships there. So I think it's not going to go down anytime soon. So I think it's going to be pretty consistent. I think our retail business area out in that area is pretty stable.
Mhm.
So I don't envision it going down.
Okay. And did anyone ask about, we heard about 77 days, calendar days. So it's going to be done, anticipated, obviously by fall
Well, calendar days be middle of August. Yeah.
of August.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool. So that was just,
Is that calendar days or work days?
calendar
Calendar.
days.
so that's just for information. So item 15, pay estimates, and we all do have a updated one that was handed out. Strand Associates, Inc., MSA Professional Services, Inc., Short Elliott Hendrickson, Inc., I&S Group, Inc., Fowler and Hammer, Inc., Wisconsin Department of Transportation, Market and Johnson, Inc., Municipal Well and Pump LLP, and any other contractor developer.
I'll move to approve the 13 items listed in the pay estimates on our handout dated May 6th.
Second,
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Jurassic to approve the new, there's still 13 items, but the new one that was handed out today. Discussion.
Just to note that number one changed from what was in your packet to $3,083.29. So that was an increase. And also number 9, INS Group went up to $10,395. Those are the two changes that were from what was in your packet tonight.
Thank you, Jared.
And I'll accept that as just friendly to my motion.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Utilities, number 16, no report. Number 17, adjournment.
make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Alder Jurassic, second by Alder Bernash to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we are adjourned. 5:14 PM.
Oh, that was-
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.